Going on, guys? Snake Eyes here, playing some more Dark Souls 2, and in this video I'm going to walk you through on completing all three areas of the Dark Abyss. Right now we're starting at the Shaded Woods area, and this is the easiest one out of all of them. I'm also going to be doing them in order from Shaded Woods to Black Gulch to Drain Lake Castle, but this is the beginning area. A couple things that you need to watch out for is the fact that it is dark. If you're playing on the normal brightness settings, it'll be really easy to fall through, and that's what I was playing at. But at this point in time, you see three enemies ahead of you. It's best to hit one with a ranged attack, so that way you can kind of just bait them to come over to you, and then after that it's pretty easy to take them out one by one. This is this forest spirit, and one thing you have to watch out for is his miracles, and as you can see, it had a lot of pushback, and if you fight him on tight corridors, it'll be real easy for him to knock you off the stage. This guy is actually Deadeye Durgo, which has been a character that's been mentioned in this game for his archery skills, but as you can see, he's kind of easy. I'm using the halberd, so it's really easy to stagger him, and in the later ones I'm actually using my katana, and this is where I'm going to get into strategy wise a little bit later on. But as you can see, pretty easy to knock out. This person as well is also really easy, but he's also pretty aggressive. Not on this fight, but you actually fight him again a little bit later in this area. One thing that I thought was pretty interesting about him was the fact that he actually carries Mytha's Bent Blade, and whether that carries any significance or not, I'm not too sure. This whole area, as far as lore-wise, is pretty interesting, and I'm going to be saying a couple of names that may or may not be that person, but the reason I'm going to be saying it is just because it's easier to explain without getting into like technicalities of lore and whatnot. But this is actually coming back to the point where I said that you got to watch out because you can easily fall through. I actually almost fell through that, and luckily I was walking, because if I was running I probably would have. And this video has actually been adjusted as far as the brightness goes just a little bit, just so you can see where the pits are. So if you guys are playing on normal difficulty, you can kind of know what to look out for. But this is a beacon, and you actually need to light it in order to complete the area. There's two requirements that you need to do in order to complete the area. One of them is lighting the beacon, and the other is defeating every enemy that's inside the this part of the abyss. But after you do that, you want to just go back a little bit further, ride the elevator down, and this is actually the last and final enemy that you're going to be fighting in the Shaded Woods area of the abyss. It's the same enemy as before, as the last one that I fought. And this is where he kind of gets a little bit more aggressive. I'm also going to be taking my time explaining, because talking for 14 to 15 minutes straight is actually pretty tiring, and I kind of don't want to mess up. But like I said, I kind of bumped my mic a little bit right there. Sorry about that. But like I said, he's pretty simple. If you're using strength build weapons, it's really easy to stagger these people. But if you start getting into, if you're a dex build, it's best to take a bow with you, mainly because it's easier to fight these guys one-on-one. But like I said, if you're using strength build, if you're using something like a great sword or an ultra great sword or whatnot, then it's pretty easy to tank these guys out and make the experience a little bit more easier. But this is actually the first and only area that I use the halberd. I switch it up with the katana, and from there, that's where the 1 versus 1 type deal goes into. But I spent some time looking in these areas, looking to see if there's anything hidden. I didn't find anything. One thing that you need to watch out for is right here. This is not a really good example. That's the area that you need to go to, and it'll reset you back to the Shaded Woods or wherever you're starting at. But keep in mind that it has a black fog kind of thick laid over it. That's the pit you need to fall down. If you don't fall down that pit and you fall down another one, you will die. This is actually the Black Gulch area one. And right off the bat, it's really easy to just fall off the stage, mainly because it's pretty hard to see. But if you use flame butterflies or up your brightness a little bit, it'll be a lot easier. But as you can see, I picked up my bloodstain, and that's because somebody killed me, and that's Havel. And Havel is actually a little bit more deadlier than he is on this game than he was in Dark Souls, mainly because you're now fighting him on some very narrow land. All of his attacks have some pretty decent knockback, and it's really easy to backstab him, but it's always best to just run back to a little bit more open area. Even this area isn't the best, but it's pretty much all you have. Like I said, if you're a tank, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tank him out. But for those who aren't, just get him to an open area. Make sure you don't pull anybody else, because there are two more enemies that are right here, and another one is actually another familiar face that's returning from Dark Souls. But as you can see, he kind of pushed me back into the narrow area. One thing you need to watch out for is these dark spirits can heal, and that's what he was ended up doing right now. Luckily, he actually fell off using his spinning attack, so I got really lucky from there. But to be honest, if he didn't fall off and he would have hit me a couple more times, I probably would have fell off and died. But right in front of me and right to my left are two more enemies. One of them is a forest spirit, and the other one I'll talk to you right now in just a little bit. But what you're going to want to do at this point in time is use ranged attack to pick one off. I ended up going with the forest spirit mainly because he was a little bit easier to kill. And I actually got really lucky right here because I ended up zooming out. And when I zoomed out, I saw that Ricard was actually coming after me. And like I said, the reason I say it's Ricard is because it's the exact same model from the first Dark Souls, using Ricard's rapier. Whether or not it actually is or is not Ricard, I'm not going to get into right now. But there are a couple things that lead me to believe that it is, and really not much reason to lead me to believe that it's not. But you do need to watch out for him because he gets a little aggressive, especially after I do this backstab. Kind of caught me by surprise. I really wasn't expecting an aggressive approach like this. As you can see, he was doing a roll, a couple of attacks, a shield bashing attack, just all around being pretty aggressive. Nearly killed me, and at this point I finally say I'm just going to use my actual katana that I really like using, and kind of just go back and take care of this forest spirit. Now, like I said, just pretty much use ranged attack to kill him. The area that I'm at is probably the best area, but you do have to watch out because if he uses any of his force miracles, it could probably knock you back and kill you. But pretty much after that, you just want to follow down this path. You do want to be careful because right around this corner, if you hug the wall, you will fall off the stage. And this is just one of the things that you do need to watch out for, because if it's too dark for you, something like hugging the wall, which would normally be safe, would actually end up screwing you over and you'd have to start over again. But now that you like this beacon, there's really not much else to this area. You just want to follow it back down. You're going to fight the last dark spirit that's in this area. This one's also kind of interesting as well because the weapon that they're using, I think on their offhand, is the warp sword. And like I said, whether or not that bears any significance, I don't know. But something that's kind of cool to note. And like I said, as far as lore, I really won't get into that, mainly because I could probably go on another 20-30 minutes on that alone. But as you can see, she does a lot of bleed damage, but at the same time she's really easy to stagger and really easy to just kind of stun lock and just get in a chain of hits. So really not much you have to watch out for, except for maybe that bleed, but like I said, that's pretty much it. And right up to here is actually another area that you can fall off of. Like I said, really, really dangerous. You really do have to watch out for. But this is the pit that you need to do in order to, or fall through in order to be reset back into the Black Gulch area. Just fall down and you'll have completed the second area. This third area is the last one that's located in Train Lake Castle. And in my opinion, probably the hardest one. Mainly because they start pairing up enemies that could attack you. But right now, all of this is going to be just unedited. I'm going to show you what I end up doing, show you where I end up running. Mainly because, like I said, if you guys are decks and you guys can get staggered really easy, this is an area that you're going to want to go to. But as far as melee people, I suggest taking out Jeremiah. That's the pyromancer if you guys aren't familiar with Dark Souls. Taking out Jeremiah because he actually doesn't have a whole lot of health. But this ironclad warrior, he's dual wielding some hammers and actually attacks pretty damn fast. I tried meleeing him on the first time that I went through this area, and he just attacks way too fast for me to not get stun locked. But right here there's actually 3 enemies, and I was lucky enough to only have 2 of them come after me. I end up falling down, and I don't know if you can see, but if you rewind it, the forest spirit is actually right around that corner. I didn't see that, but I knew he was there because of the first time that I went through. I'm exploring this area a little bit more because this is the first time that I actually went down. And if you branch off to the right, that's where the end area is at. but there are 3 more enemies that you need to fight: another ironclad warrior, another Jeremiah, and another forest spirit. So if you turn right back around and come down here, you'll find another beacon, which can play a little bit into the strategy if you guys are going to plan to use range attacks on them. With lighting the beacon, it'll light up the room and give you a little bit more lock-on range as far as using your arrows. And at this point in time, the enemies aren't following you, so they break tracking after a while. If you go ahead and go down and turn the corner a little bit, you can hit Jeremiah, and he will follow you into the room. But right here, I actually had been doing it for about 1 more turn. As you can see, his health is already kind of chipped down a little bit. And he does follow you down, and he's fast enough to actually reach around the corner. I wasn't expecting him to, and when I saw him, I kind of just, got the hell out of there. But if you get him to about halfway to that little, I guess a little bridge area that's on the left, you can lock onto him and just spam some arrows at him. Like I said, you have to make sure he's getting a little bit further in. You could equip the Hawkeye ring, and that could extend your bow range. But right here, I just did it like this. It's pretty easy, not too difficult. You can do the same thing with the Ironclad Warrior, and he's actually too slow to actually meet you in that area. So with enough arrows and hitting him enough times, he's pretty easy to kill. And then now, what I ended up doing was going back to the Forest Spirit. He's not too difficult to fight one-on-one. I got lucky. He ended up using miracles on me instead of sorceries. So getting hit by him, I didn't really mind too much. As you can see right there, he didn't do too much. So by this time, I just say, oh well, if we're gonna trade hits, well, then we can trade some hits. But like I said, that's gonna complete this little part of the area. After that, you're gonna just want to keep going down back to where I showed you the first time, and pretty much pick them off one at a time. Like I said, this guy at this point doesn't really follow you anymore, so hitting him with a couple of bow and arrow shots is actually not too bad. If you get close enough, Jeremiah will follow you, and as you can see, the Force Spirit is right there, right behind him. So that's something you have to watch out for. Keeping in consideration that if you try to fight one with melee in this area, one more, if not both of them, will follow right behind that person. So that's something you need to watch out for. After I killed the forest person, Jeremiah was actually really easy. I ended up taking him, chipping away some of his health, and then when he decides to walk up, really easy to fight melee. You can fight a melee if you want to right off the bat, mainly because he's just a pyromancer. He doesn't have the notch whipped or anything like that, so you don't have to watch out for anything. But right when that fog door cleared, this is the last area. One thing to take into consideration is that when you fall down this one, you actually get teleported into the Dark Lurker boss room. But one thing to note as well is that from this point on, now that you lit the beacon and defeated all the enemies in each area, you can fall down any of the pits from any of the 3 areas, and it'll teleport you into the boss room. So what I recommend doing is going back to the Shaded Woods area and completing that one, mainly because it's the easiest one. You can melee these people, whether you're a strength build or a dex build or whatever. You can melee them, kill them pretty fast, and then fight the Dark Lurker again. One thing to note is you're gonna have to pay 1 humanity every single time you want to come in this area. Unless you beat the Dark Lurker, then you can come in and out whenever you want, but by that time it's kind of irrelevant. One thing that I'm not too sure is I'm not too sure if these guys have an infinite respawn, but what they do have is a small chance to drop bonfire ascetics. So if you want to farm for bonfire ascetics, you can come into this area. That's why I have the Jester's Cap right on right now, because I got lucky, and I figured if I'm going to spend a human effigy to get into this area, I might as well up my chances in getting bonfire ascetics as well. But this is not the fight where I beat him. I just kind of added this in to kind of let myself explain a little bit better. One thing you do have to watch out for is, I think this is based on a timer. He splits into 2 people, and then that's when the fight gets a little bit more difficult. The reason I say if it's based on a timer is because the second time I fought him, I actually took him down to a little less than half health, and then he split into 2, and as you can see right now, he's not even over, he's actually over half health, and he had also split into 2. So try to do as much damage as you can right now. The design on this boss I really like, but to be honest, I think it's a ripoff of a Diablo 3 character. If you guys aren't familiar with Diablo 3, I'll actually include a picture of one of the characters that that I feel like they kind of, I don't want to say ripped off the design, but based their ideas off of. And like I said, you guys can see and judge that for yourself. But other than that, I think I cleared pretty much everything that's that this area has. If you have a question, let me know in the comments below. I'll try to help you out. But like I said, I think I got everything. Yeah, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, take care.